This is Dr. Bills inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have the two professors, Professor Bishop and Professor King. With that being said, let's get into the Major Division football poll ranking week number 9. See if some things have changed. We had two big matchups last week with the number 1 and 2 team. Thursday night, we had a show out. Then Saturday night, we had another show out. Can the FAMU Rallies hold on to number 1? We shall see, because we did have one team drop out this week. The Alabama A&M Bulldogs could not get it done in the Magic City Classic. We'll see what that looks like. With that being said, let's look at those teams receiving votes. Grambling State Tigers, top receiving vote getter with 169 points. They're at 4-4, 3-2, still in the thick of things in the Western Division of the SWAC. At number 9, essentially, is Hampton Pirates, sit at 4-4, 2-3. They got a big win over A&T in the Coastal Athletic Association, formerly known as the Colonial, CAA, 150 points. They right the ship after several losses the past couple of weeks. And behind them, Howard Bison. They did get that win over Howard, though. Howard is winning as they got in the MEAC play. They're 2-0, 4-4 overall. Can they get it done this week to keep the hopes alive in terms of the MEAC and set up a matchup of undefeateds the following week against North Carolina Central? We shall see. It'll be interesting. 147 points, but let's get where it gets good. Top 7 programs this week in week number 9. At number 7, we have Southern Jaguars. 5-3 on the season, 4-1, 177 points. They were previously ranked 5, so although they won, they dropped 2 spots. It was a close one. They had to come from behind, but in the win column, where it's most importantly, they got the W over Texas Southern Tigers at home. At number 6, Alabama State Hornets, 4-3, 3-2, 178 points. They were not ranked. They jumped into the polls. They jumped all the way in at number 6. They jumped over Southern. Remember, they did have that victory at the very beginning of the season, so they're in at number 6. Bringing us to number 5, the Alcorn State Braves, 5-3, 4-1, 191 points. They move up a spot. Quietly, is there such thing quietly as being 4-1, 5-3?
Not no more.
Right now, they're going to get the victory this week. I think the noise will ramp up quite right, and deservedly so. Bringing us to number 4, Jackson State Tigers are 6-3, 4-2, 192 points. They stay at number 4. All they do in Jackson is win, and that's what they continue to do. At number 3, Tennessee State Tigers. Brandon King, your Tigers are back in the football business. 6-2, 2-1, squarely in the Big South OVC race for the top spot, 216 points. They've been there for a minute. We know you know about it. They're at number 3, but they're still in the mix. At number 2, this is where things change. We have a new number 2 this week. Florida A&M Rallies fall from number 1. They're at 7-1, 6-0. 5 first-place votes that just edged out by the number 1 team. And as you imagine, you know who it is. The Rattlers have 241 points. Big victory over FAMU. But it looks like the voters said North Carolina Central did just a little more. The previous champions are at it again. They've climbed all the way to the number 1 spot in week number 9. North Carolina Central Eagles out of the MEAC. They improved to 7-1 in a dominant victory this past Thursday at 2-0, 7 first-place votes. So they gained a first-place vote, which flips them all the way to number 1, 246 points, just edging out FAMU, 244. They going neck to neck. I know everybody else says the conference races are not done, and that's true. But in terms of the rankings, can you imagine if these teams can hold on and face off in the Celebration Bowl? Boy, would it be a good one. A lot of football to be played. We'll see. But at this point, Central improves from 2 to 1. I see Charles smiling, so I'm going to give him the privilege to go first and see what he's thinking. Let it out, Charles. Let it out.
Style points the rest of the way here with FAMU and North Carolina Central. Who has the better right cross? Who could put teams away quicker than North Carolina Central or FAMU? That's going to be an interesting look-see with 1 and 2 going down the stretch. But we got some matchups this weekend. We got Southern. We got Alcorn. Oh, that's going to be a good one. Looking forward to that game. Wow. Saturday night in Baton Rouge, it strikes again. and it caught up to Texas Southern Tigers this weekend. So can't say enough about that. Jackson State is probably playing as consistent as anybody right now. Jacoby Morgan at quarterback. They've really found a lot of life with regards to them playing quarterback. Big win in UAPB this weekend. But I tell you what, this is what you want. This is where things start getting real interesting. November football is here, and this is where it gets real fun, Doc. I can't argue with the poll this weekend, but I think things will just shake themselves out the rest of the way here.
Charles, I'm glad you stumbled on that a little bit and talked about that 5 versus 7 matchup that goes down and will be on ESPN Plus. It's for the top of the Western Division, and somebody might get a chance to really put a little stranglehold on it. Obviously, you'll be out on assignment on Thursday, so you didn't get to talk about it in depth, but I'm glad that you put it out there. Folks understand that you know football, and that is going to be the place to be in terms of turning on your television this week. If you can't get down there, because we know the Braves and the Jaguar fans will be there loud and proud.
Loud
is the major word that we are stressing today. Loud. With that being said, I'm sure Southern is bringing the band, the Human Jukebox, so we got another matchup there that takes on the stage. That should be a good one too, as well as is getting a good time, because you're talking about you only have one more chance to put your film on tape and send it over there for that band matchup in terms of HBCU band. I talked to Grant. If you get a chance, go back and check out Brian and AD. It was a great show as they brought the directors on, if you would, in terms of managing that process, and they break it down. They really get into it. A lot of good talk in terms of what it means. You got one more. You're essentially going to have your top 5 come out of that based on the next release, and then you go down and you start to finalize and who's going to be the top 4 teams in the major and the top 4 in the mid-major. This is important when you talk about these show matchups more than one way.
Treat yourself to go back on YouTube, because the juke went hard this past weekend. That was more your guys came through this weekend. That was tight. I enjoyed that show.
Yeah, they made sure that they saw the poll rankings fall out. They wanted to make another said, hey, our early demise has been greatly exacerbated. I hear you, Human Jukebox. Shout out to Edwin. He told us they coming. Also, I want to give some love to the MEAC. This is 2 weekends in a row where they had the visiting band travel on Thursday for their ESPN matchup. Now, if you're going to talk about your TV and brands going to be on there, yeah, you can complain, but you ask for TV. When you get a chance, you got to show up and show out. They brought the bands. And then they had 2 subsequent band matchups outside of that on Saturday. MEAC is figuring it out. They're getting the teams, they're getting the bands, programs, and they're hitting the road. One thing that they haven't done in the past. So credit to the MEAC in terms of showing out. With that being said, Brandon, I know you don't get a lot of the love in terms of the independent program. That's not your fault. Tennessee State is over there in the Big South OVC, but they do play a couple of matchups. So they got some love and they got some band credit in there early. We'll see if it's enough. I'm interested in what band Aristocrats going to send in. Obviously, the good thing for them, it's not about a band matchup. So they don't have to worry about my poll rankings. HBCU Sports, Grammy and all, they'll get a chance to get it done. With that being said, more importantly, what are your thoughts on my top 7 major division ranking?
Well, I can say it looks pretty good this week. Now, next week, it has a potential to be in shambles after what might happen this weekend. But,
True,
when you get Southern, obviously, as Charles alluded to, how you win matters. And even while winning is good, sometimes in terms of poll rankings, ugly wins can have ill effects in terms of rankings. But you look at, I said, Alcorn, the quietest 4-1 SWAC team I think I've ever seen. They're just like that. They just go about their business with their lunch pail and their hard hat. They just go under the radar and they just keep winning. Mm-hmm. So I think before it's all said and done, Fred McNair's bunch down there, they're going to have a say over who comes out of the SWAC. So obviously 1 and 2, we've been talking about them all year. They both went out and took care of business in rather decisive fashion. Nice. Tennessee State makes an appearance. They're one of the hottest teams in HBCU football. So, all in all, I thought the list was solid. And I just want to say this before we wrap on the polls. I know on Sunday, Reverend Professor Sims was running some smack on my Tigers, saying we didn't want to see them. I'm just going to say this. That's not a challenge we would back down from. So I'm just going to put that out there.
Brandon, you know what the heat?
Hey,
I like that.
Look, Tennessee State back in the talking business. Look at this. Come on, Tennessee.
Yeah, they back in the talking business. They must be playing
Smack business.
football over there.
Right.
I was going to add this since you brought it up. I ain't going to do that. It would be interesting if part of that 6-2 was the fact that they were 6-0 in the SWAC or 7-0 in the SWAC. And then you had a game coming up like next week that featured FAMU at Tennessee State for a divisional championship to go to the Celebration Bowl. That would be a little interesting, but no, not to be. With that being said, let's go to the break before I make the people mad and break the internet.